Welcome everybody to our BNI Talks webinar. Today we're talking about getting ready for your homecoming event and special guest, my good pal, my partner in crime herself, Jenni Butz. Hey Jenni, how are you?
I'm so pumped. I got my letter jacket out. Yes, I knew exactly where it was. I downloaded a nice homecoming background. So we are excited to talk about homecoming season in the USA.
Yeah, this is going to be a really exciting thing. This is something we've never done. It's a completely different approach to what we usually do. So let's jump right into it and start with, well, I'm going to call it the bad news. This thing.
Wah, wah.
This thing is still around and it's throwing a wrench into all the works.
It is.
However, we've already proven once before that we as business owners can find a way to succeed anyway, despite our concerns with what's going on in the world. And, it's time to figure out, okay, we were going to do this big homecoming thing and we still are, but we're kind of looking at a couple of different approaches to make it happen well. So Jenni, I'm just going to ask you to talk a little bit about homecoming because those of us in the Northeast have no idea what you're talking about.
I know, and we've had this conversation a few times. So look at your background and look at my background.
Yeah.
That tells you what we understand. Yeah,
It's
so I know if you're from Texas, you are going to want everybody in the chapter to have your big homecoming mums, all of your big, huge corsages with everything you've ever done in your life. And you're going to go crazy and go all out on that. For those of you in college towns, I think this is probably something you've seen, the homecoming parades, the football rivalry and the homecoming game, and all the alumni come and everybody shows their pride and the big foam fingers, and they're wearing all of their paraphernalia from when they went to the school. And it's such a great time to celebrate all of your affiliation with an organization you love and your past memories and the great future of the establishment. And so for those of you who haven't had that experience, hopefully someone in your chapters and in your region will be able to transfer their experience vicariously and communicate the enthusiasm, because it is a very exciting time of the year that's already built into the calendar. Because in the fall, even starting now, maybe for when you're seeing preseason for the NFL and we're already seeing colleges getting ready and football, it's homecoming season, whether we recognize it or not. So we want to do the same thing in business. We've had a year and a half. I mean, it's been something. And COVID-19 is messing with our businesses. It's messing with traditional meetings. And we've been online. Some are going back, some aren't. So we want to be sure that as we start this conversation, everybody is aware that, first of all, you need to listen to whatever your state and municipal authorities are saying about meeting in person, and also check with your director team. If you are part of the core, then you will want to check with your managing director about what's happening with the traditional meeting return. And if you are part of a franchise region, you'll want to check with your directors, especially with your executive director, and see what's happening in your state or your part of the state. This event is fun for everybody, and we are going to work really hard at making sure it's a fun event if you have it in person, or if you have it online, or if your chapters are going through some sort of a hybrid or a blended model. We want to address all of those, but we really, really don't want anybody to get sick. So please be safe and have fun.
All right. So that said, hey, it's homecoming.
That's what I've heard.
And now I know what homecoming is, so thank you.
You're welcome.
And this really does seem like an amazing way to reconnect with members and people in your local area. And so we've got lots of resources that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. But first, let's talk about the event itself.
Let's do.
This is the kind of thing where, it's an opportunity to reach out and say thank you to all of those people who have been helping in the past year, whether it's teachers. I don't know how teachers did it, by the way. Jenni, you're a former teacher. I don't know how you would, keep the attention of a bunch of kids on Zoom.
Right.
That can't be easy. First responders, of course, BNI alumni, local politicians, all people that you may want to say thank you for doing what you did to help us through this difficult time. What I love about this is that it's an opportunity not just to say thank you, but to give exposure to the people in your chapter who may never have attended a BNI chapter anyway. So it's an opportunity for you to maybe get some new customers, make some new connections, show off your chapter a little bit. All really good, exciting stuff.
Yeah, we really do want it to be a celebration of what you and your members have done. This is not an event where anybody is going to push for growth, 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 and you have to build your chapter and have more members, because it's very, very unlikely, if possible at all, that a fireman would come and be a part of your chapter, or the mayor would be a part. But it's a great opportunity for you to make connections with the chambers of commerce, and to just let the mayor of your town or the city council people or past members, because homecoming is all about alumni. So it's easy to invite past members to see what's been going on, and to reintroduce people or introduce them for the first time to what you do and how the group you're a part of is also part of the community at large where you live and where you work.
I spoke to a member not too long ago who left BNI at the beginning of the pandemic because she just didn't want to be online, and she figured I'll just come back when it's over. And then I saw her on a webinar. I'm like, hey, you're back. And she's like, yeah, I've learned to accept that, online meetings are the way of the world now. And it's time for me to reconnect, and I miss my old chapter.
Oh, I love that.
So that was great. And so I think, if you did lose people over, this is a really great soft intro to say, hey, we're just going to, celebrate the chapter and the fact that we're still in business and still working hard. I think this is such a cool idea.
And I just was talking to somebody yesterday. We are putting together kind of toolkits for a lot of the, for all of the regions, and we'll see how they play out. But we had a list of about 80,000 past BNI members since, I don't know, 2012 or something like that. And we are working on divvying them up by region, so those directors can give them to individual chapters, and you can start making phone calls, because it'll say how much of a certificate of credit they have left. And a lot of members who leave BNI for whatever reason don't realize that you have a certificate of credit. You have maybe 3 or 4 or 6 months left on your membership when you left. You can use that, and those people can come back with just as soon as the membership committee approves them, they can come right back in and start their membership and help grow their business right where they left off.
Yeah, I know that was always a little bit of a stumbling block, where someone had to pay a full year's membership if they had 3 months left. Now all they have to do is present that certificate and they're good to go. Love that idea.
Yeah, easy ask.
Yeah. So we've got, as I mentioned, some resources. If you're going, if you're in, everyone can find them on BNI Business Builder. But if you're in a core region, you can go to bnicoreregions.com and it'll see it there as well. But here are a couple of things. First, there's this outline and kind of an overview of what's going on. And then next to that, you'll see a homecoming agenda. So a little bit of a different presentation. And there is a PowerPoint that was created as well, which you can find and download as well for that.
Right. And so some of these documents are going to be for your chapters. Some will be for the leadership teams to kind of get an idea of how the events could go. Many of these resources are customizable, and we want it to be very specific to what your chapter wants to celebrate. Your members have supported each other. You have your own stories. You have your own history. So all of the things were presented as kind of a template, because we know sometimes the hardest part of creating something is from 0 to version 1. And I heard somebody on a call this morning say version 1 is better than version none. And so we are giving you version 1 of these things. And hopefully it will just spark the ideas and you'll go, oh yeah, let's do that. I don't like this idea, but it did give me an idea for something else. So a homecoming outline might be something the leadership team can look at and then decide how they want to present it to the chapter if it's something you want to pursue. This agenda is an idea for an agenda, but you might say, instead of this, let's do something different. And that's exactly how we created it, because we couldn't possibly think of every scenario that works for your chapter, and it has to be something that does work for your chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't know who you're going to invite. And if you're inviting, first responders and people like that, which would be great. If you're inviting local businesses that maybe went out of their way to, deliver food and things like that, it's a different style depending on who's going to be there. So yeah, create what you want to create, but definitely celebrate it. And please take photos. We want to see
Yeah.
We want to see you showing off your chapter to everyone.
I specifically want to see pictures of a chapter who does one of these events and has an open networking tailgate party, because I think that would be so much fun. Back up all the cars together, have the coffee, and everybody. I mean, if your region is maybe halfway between being able to meet fully, but you're not quite sure, you might have an outdoor event. I don't know, wherever you live, it's going to be raining no matter where we are in Seattle, no matter what time of year it is. But other places you might be able to be outside or have big tents, and maybe that's your halfway version of not in person indoors, but also not online. You might have a tailgate party and have it be very social. I don't know. But if you do that, please send me pictures at jennibutz@bni.com, because I am dying to see it.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun to see, and a really cool idea, even if you wanted to have multiple chapters getting involved in it.
Yeah.
Big outdoor event. Tailgating is something we understand here in New England, so we definitely do that part.
Okay.
We've got some other resources here across the top. You'll see 3, although there were 4. I couldn't find the other one for some reason. There are 4 social media little graphics here that you can use to promote it. And down below, you'll see a couple of slides from the presentation, which are very different from your regular meeting agenda, and can be a really good opportunity for some recognition within your chapter, especially those who did really well during the pandemic, or those who were inviting people. Whatever kind of recognition you want to give, this is a great way to do it.
Yeah. And this Succeed Anyway slide is one of the slides from a presentation. So if your chapter wants to concentrate on inviting people and planning the event and doing some giveaways or tailgating or whatever you want, and you say to the support director for your chapter, could you do a feature presentation for us so we can concentrate on other things? Or if one person in your chapter wants to do a feature presentation, we have one that's all ready, so you don't have to make it up. And it includes places for you to put in stories from member to member, how this member helped my business, or this is how our chapter was involved with the community, just whatever works for you. But the slides are created, and if you want to change some things, you can, or you can just plug and play, and there's a whole script for it. So it should make it super easy for you to do whatever works best for your chapter.
Right. So we want to talk about, different styles of meeting, as you kind of alluded to earlier, and that so if in person will be a little bit different from online. So what tips do you have for in-person meetings?
Well, I think I've mentioned tailgating.
Yeah.
I do love that idea.
Mhm.
But for in-person meetings, you may want to consider maybe everybody wearing their letter jackets.
Mhm.
If you're still using the PowerPoint in either of them, you can have pictures from when you were in high school. I just got some pictures from a director in Florida who did a homecoming meeting for her directors, and they had it in a gymnasium, and they decorated with balloons. And and for their notable networkers, they did a homecoming court, and they had crowns for everybody. So you could have, I always think for football games, I always picture those big arches of balloons or a mascot or something. I think anything that's homecoming or oriented to make the room fun. Maybe you have football themed snacks, whatever it is that would make your event feel special. And change the agenda up a little bit to focus on the success. We really want it to be a celebration. You guys have been through it. And if you are a newer member within the last year and a half, you have very limited exposure to in-person meetings. And so we want to share how much energy there can be in a room when we're in person, and celebrate the fact that we're coming out and the economy is recovering. So whatever that might be, and I know that there are probably going to be people who put in the chat other ideas as they're thinking of what could make an in-person meeting a lot of fun, but we also want it to be safe. So be very, very aware of what the limitations are in your area.
One thing that I saw a long time ago in my early BNI years, when the economy was having so much trouble, 2009 or so, we were in that recession, and one chapter invited the mayor, and the mayor showed up and gave a few words, and everybody was just kind of blown away by it. It was such a great day. So you never know about, it always helps to just kind of reach out and see who might be interested in checking out your meeting. It's a lot easier, obviously, if it's online, but for in person, why not?
Well,
A star-studded event.
and one thing that we have been, as we're preparing to train the visitor hosts next month, the incoming visitor host, one thing that we've been trying to be intentional about is when and how you contact visitors when they register, when they come to event, and how you do follow-up. And if you're having an in-person event where there may be snacks, or you're recognizing first responders or city officials, it's a great way to make sure people are coming by calling them ahead of time, or even texting ahead of time and say, hey, we're planning our refreshments. We want to be sure, are you still planning on coming? Or do you have any dietary restrictions? And that way they know you are making a special plan for them to attend, and they're much more likely to show up. So if you say, we want to make sure we order enough food, are you coming? Is there anything special we can get for you? We've ordered special giveaways for our guests and we're confirming the count. Will you be there? We want to be sure that we give something to you when you arrive. It'll make them feel very special and far more invested in actually showing up at your event.
Yeah, I like that idea. All right, so what happens if you're online?
It can still be fun.
It can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can get backgrounds. I got 2 backgrounds just this morning by searching homecoming backgrounds. The other one I have that I was hoping Steve would use, but he chose not to. He went the traditional route, as a homecoming dance with some awkward people behind me. So you can make that a lot of fun. If you have creatives in your chapter, somebody might be able to make a chapter specific homecoming background for your Zoom. Everybody can wear their letter jackets. We are recommending across the board, but especially for these kinds of events, have breakout rooms as you're open networking, and maybe have some fun nostalgia pictures from homecoming. This would be a great time in an online meeting to do follow-up in breakout rooms at the end of the meeting. Have little icebreaker questions. You could play videos of people who had been on site. Maybe you're around the town and people are doing videos around town, like, hey, I'm in front of the mayor's office. Maybe you have some on the street interviews and you can play the videos. Online meetings lend themselves really well to using lots and lots of media in the meeting, and it will feel to your guests like they're watching a variety show.
Yeah, and I love that, there's plenty of time to plan this out, so you can get very creative. And as you work towards your big day. But I love the idea of the backgrounds, maybe tailoring your intro to whatever your background has on it. Make it a lot of fun.
I think marching band music has to be present somehow. Marching bands are one of my favorite things. And I always used to think, because I was in the marching band, shocking, I know. And I always used to think it was very considerate of the football players to come for our performances and put on a little show for everybody while they were waiting for us.
Right, and make sure to set your camera back far if you happen to be the one who plays the tuba.
I'm over here.
What happens if you don't know what you're doing yet? Are you online? Are you in person? How do you plan for something like that? We don't know.
I never get tired of this slide.
Yeah, it's my favorite person.
I know, I want to be his friend. Yeah, this first of all, homecoming is only a vague season on the calendar. So if you want to plan for an event in December, when we know homecoming season is long gone, that's still okay. These are events that we're going to talk about a timeline in a little bit. Like any visitor day that you would have, any kind of a special event, you want to have some lead time. So we all, in our businesses and our families, schools are starting if they haven't already. We're holding things loosely right now because from week to week, things can change. Here in Washington, we were kind of wide open and doing what we could do, and we're having a lot of people vaccinated, so stores are open and stuff, and we just got the mandate starting Monday. Everybody has to wear masks indoors again. So things are changing. I know we're not the only one going back and forth. Your chapter needs to just keep having those conversations. The important thing is that you're doing business together and that you're unified, supporting one another. And I know those conversations can be hard. This event, we don't want it to be something that divides and makes it more difficult. So hold it loosely, plan it far out, and then you can change things as you need to. And we just have to be flexible.
Yeah, I think that's great. I was thinking one thing might be interesting to do, if you're one of those chapters who loves to give back, is to do something like when we had Becky Isbell talking about the BNI Foundation and Business Voices, to do maybe a backpack drive for kids going back to school, or something related to that might be really great to talk about as well when you've got that nice big audience there.
That's true. That's a good idea, Steve. That's good.
Thank you. All right, we have to say goodbye to our friend over here. And we'll move to the next slide and say, hey, we've got a timeline coming today. Anytime we prepare for an event in the future, we try to give you as much information as we can to plan it out so that everything runs smoothly. Jenny, you've seen this timeline. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
I created this timeline, Steve.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm intimately
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the introduction of the timeline prepared by Jenni Butz.
Yes. Because I love events in general, and I have been part of planning many events, I created it the way I think. So you may find it helpful. You may think, what were you thinking, Jenny? But we did a timeline, and we started with 4 or more weeks before the event. These are the things you should be talking about and planning for. 3 weeks before the event, here's a checklist of things you should do. Then 2 weeks before, 1 week before, I've got it down to 2 days before, a day before, 60 to 30 minutes before the meeting, during the meeting, and 24 hours or more after the meeting. So we have lots of things. Again, these are suggestions because I think a big event or a different event can often be overwhelming and you don't know where to begin. So at least you have the timeline so you know when to begin. And there are things like 1 week before. Did you double check the things you were supposed to do higher up on here? So just reminders that for example, if you're going to do giveaways or notable networker gift cards, or somebody is going to wear a crown for the homecoming court, did somebody buy those things? Do you have them at the meeting? Do you know when in the agenda you're going to do the presentation? Is it handy so you can just hand it to the person or whatever? So whether it's technology or snacks, depending on how you have your meeting, it should be a helpful guide so that you will have a successful event.
All right, that sounds great.
I think so. That'll be uploaded by the end of today, by the way.
To where?
To Business Builder.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so it's time for Q&A. And before we get into that, if you have any questions, please put them into the Q&A section about anything we've talked about today. And while you're doing that, today's Q&A is brought to you by Jenny and my podcast, Networking is No Joke. So season 1 is in the books. It's complete. We're very excited about it. It came out great, but we've got a lot of new cool ideas for the new season, starting in just 3 weeks from today. We've got some special guest lines up, and of course, more jokes, Jenny.
So many jokes.
Yeah.
And I would love it if you would send us your jokes. We want the best for season 2. So Biz Networking Mentor is my Instagram. Yes. Please send the jokes to me, because one of the things we like most about our podcast is that Steve doesn't hear the jokes until we are recording, and then we get a genuine response. And if you want to know what my goal is, listen to episode 10 of season 1, because that was not only, I think, our best joke, but it was definitely Steve's best response. So it's a little teaser.
That was a good joke. There are a few other good ones in there. There are a couple of groans along the way as well, because you can't win them all. But Jenny tries hard. But yeah, don't send the joke to me, because I do not want to hear them until they are told on the actual podcast. Yeah. Also, we have a brand new Instagram account, and when I say brand new, I mean it's about an hour and a half old. I just made it before this, and it is called @Networking is No Joke. If you follow this account right now, and follow myself and Jenny on Instagram if you haven't already, we'll do a drawing. Jenny, I'm just saying this right now. It's all coming. Let's do it. I
love it.
$25 Amazon gift card.
Yes.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
You can follow all 3 of these accounts, and you have to like the one post that's on there. Right now, I'm only following Jenny. I'm following my account, and I'm following, of course, Beyonce. That's all that's being followed. We need followers. All right. Pam already did it. So Pam is in the lead.
I know. I saw that. I love it. Thank you, Pam.
Then please do.
Beyonce.
No, Beyonce's.
Oh, you slay me, Steve.
All right. So thank you all. Oh, wait, we forgot the question.
Questions.
I was like, we're done. No, we're not.
There are at least two questions.
Two questions. Number one says, will I be able to get a recording of this podcast with sound? Bill has been trying really hard through this whole podcast to listen. And for some reason, it's just not working. So actually, not podcast. He means this webinar. So yes, Bill, we will, of course, upload to our BNI Team USA YouTube channel. And we'll also put this on BNI Business Builder as well. Just look up BNI Talks webinar and you'll find them all pop up. Wayne is asking, what would you say to those who are opposed to inviting past members whose seats are now filled as their poor history between the parties?
We get that question a lot. That's a great one and very important. Whether that seat, if you don't mind, I was just talking about this, Steve. Can I chime in?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just talking about this with someone because we know that not every member who left created a void that, and that you might not want them back, whether that seat is filled or not. And so you obviously need to have those conversations within your membership committee or leadership team around the chapter. If the seat is filled, it makes it a much easier conversation, because then you could say to your director consultant, hey, this seat is already taken in our chapter. Maybe you can find this member a different chapter. But if it's not filled and you still have some hesitancy, I think the best thing you can do is, again, talk to your director consultant. Your director consultants are the most valuable resource you have in your chapter, because they have at least one or two other chapters plus their own that they are dealing with. They have training and they have seen lots and lots of situations. Chances are, whatever you come across in your chapter, you can ask your director and they'll say, oh yeah, we've done this before. Here's the best case scenario and some suggestions I have. But I think that's the first step you want to take, because there's not, to my knowledge, a hard and fast rule of this is how you should do it. But maybe, Steve, do you have some specific examples or tips for that conversation if it's not filled?
Yeah, I'm always about, everyone is always welcome, even if there was a little bit of tension at some point. Everybody's in business. Everybody's just trying to do well. So, this is just another way to expose someone to maybe going to another chapter if it's not a good fit.
Yeah.
Or, I think there's always an opportunity to do the right thing for people in business. So, yeah, I have no problem inviting. If someone left because they, something terrible happened and it's going to cause tension and, fisticuffs, you don't want that.
No fisticuffs.
Nobody wants fisticuffs.
Well, and the beauty of a BNI chapter is that it's different from a chamber of commerce or other kinds of organizations where people just join and they're in. You have a membership committee. And so inviting someone doesn't mean they're going to become a member. So even if you had a weird relationship or things didn't go well, or that was a member who was in the gray and didn't give a lot of referrals, et cetera, that's the role of the membership committee to vet those people, whether they're first-time applicants or they're coming back again. So that's why we have doubled the training for membership committee members, because they have a lot of different scenarios and they're kind of the gatekeepers to make sure you have the caliber of members in your chapter that will keep your businesses growing. So inviting them is like having somebody on a first date. You don't have to get married. You're just inviting them, and then let the membership committee do their job.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see, do we have any other questions other than the agenda? Is there a format for the typical BNI meeting online?
Like a traditional meeting, is there an agenda? I think that means, yeah, we do have that. It's either on BNI Business Builder, which some of you may remember as BNI University, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not there intuitively, and you can't find it because sometimes people have a hard time, again, I would ask your director consultant because they have access. But bnicoreregions.com, if you're a core member, is a great place to kind of find some different things. And whether you're a core region or a franchise region, your support director is probably the best resource to find documents like that.
Yep.
Wherever they may be.
All right. Someone was asking for a copy of this. So if you need a copy of the presentation, You can just shoot me an email. How do you get in touch? Well, good news, everybody. It's right here. Email me, stevetenuzo@bni.com, and I will send you a copy of this. And if you have questions related to this, you can reach out to Jenni Butz at BNI.com. Or, of course, once again, here are our Instagram accounts. Can you tell we're trying to get followers? Yes, we are. And we're shameless about it. We don't care. But please remember, and thank you for being on today, that you have earned one CEU, so give yourself a CEU for that. Jenni, thanks as always for being on.
I have one thing that I just remembered that might be helpful.
Oh, okay.
Because you said something about the BNI USA YouTube channel.
Yes. Team
on
USA.
That channel. What?
BNI Team USA.
Oh, BNI Team USA. Okay. There is a video, a 2-minute video, and maybe it's on BNIUSA.com. I mean, BNI USA YouTube channel. There's a 2-minute video of me. You're welcome.
Oh, thank God.
I know, explaining homecoming, if it's something you wanted to do as an education moment, or if your leadership team just wanted to look at it. This homecoming thing could be great timing for a combined effort between your outgoing and your incoming leadership teams to work together and plan an event for like the end of October or the beginning of November, where everybody is working together with a long-term goal. And that video and other resources like that might be a helpful thing for you, but it's just a 2-minute video going, hey, isn't this a great idea? Because that's what I do.
Since you gave us 18 different versions of the YouTube channel, I am typing in the URL.
Just go to jennibutz.com.
Yeah, there you go. Jenni, I'll help you out there. That's funny. So yes, that'll all be there. And by the way, you also got that same video in the Connection newsletter about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, if you're in the core regions, yeah, that would have been in your Connections newsletter, which you should read every month.
That'd be great. We'd appreciate it. All right. So this is it. We're done, everyone. Thanks for being on today. We'll see you all next week. We're doing something next week on digital marketing, and we've got someone that Jenni knows from the Chicago area. What's his name? Bill?
Jim.
Jim, there it is. Jim will be on, and he's great, and we'll have lots of great information. If you've never done digital marketing before, you're curious about it, he's got lots of great answers for you. So we'll see you then. Thanks all for being on, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye. Dun, 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 dun.